if you want to achieve some meaningful growth in your business, whether that is attracting and influencing more of your ideal clients to buy your product or your service, or maybe you're at a stuck point in your business to where you're trying to increase the revenue or you're trying to grow your business in some way, but right now you're feeling stuck. There are three underlying principles, levers that you can pull that when you do this, it is inevitable to grow. Like growth becomes nearly impossible. At least that's been true in my experience. And I've experienced this across all different seasons of my business, from like just getting started, like trying to figure out how do I better attract the right type of clients? How do I uh, systematically convert them and create more client flow coming into my business? And then equally, and I've noticed this especially in like most online businesses or service-based businesses, there's like these milestones that typically you get stuck at. And like for me, it was like initially at 10K per month I was stuck at. Then it was around 20 to 30K per month I got stuck at. Then it was 50K per month. And then it was 100K. And so there's, for whatever reason, I think it has to do with some of these underlying principles, hence why I'm sharing them, has allowed me to be able to grow in these different seasons. And I'm hoping it will help you as well. And so let's first address the elephant in the room. So first of all, what I'm going to share with you may be counterintuitive to what some of the gurus are trying to spit and spout on the internet. And the truth is everybody's trying to influence, right? Everybody. Like influence is at the core of this. And a lot of times people are not necessarily right or wrong, but they're trying to sell something, right? They're trying to sell services. We're always trying to sell something, whether we're trying to sell an idea, whether we're trying to sell an actual program or product or service or way of doing things. People are trying to sell something. We all are. If you're on the internet, if you're making content, you're probably trying to sell something, and that's not good and it's not bad. It just is. And so a lot of the advice that's being put out there is a very biased opinion. And I think that's what makes content amazing. That's what makes information amazing, because it'll land with some and land with others. But you always want to look at you want to always peel back when you're getting advice, even from me, and look at like, what is the underlying motive that this person's trying to give me, right? If somebody's selling ads, for example, chances are when you watch their videos, when you consume their content, ads is going to be they're always going to talk about ads. They're always going to talk about how ads is the number one, right? Versus, if somebody's trying to sell some kind of organic growth system, they're going to always talk about organic. If somebody's trying to sell sales training, they're going to always talk about sales in a positive light, and they're going to always polarize something else. And so it's important to always have that context, because when it comes to like principles, when it comes to truth works across every area of, especially in terms of like, right, there's like truths for let's say health and fitness. It's like you've got to strength train in some capacity, whether you're doing body weight, whether you're using weights. You have to eat a relatively decent nutrition regimen. You have to have the right amount of calories, right? You have to get a decent amount of sleep. It's going to range for everybody from anything to 7 to 9 hours or whatever. You've got to move. Like there's underlying principles that no matter what strategy people do, no matter what tactically people are doing, it's going to work for them if they're following the underlying principles. The same thing is true in business. If you are following the underlying principles of how to generate leads, like the truth, it doesn't matter if you're doing it organically, if you're going on podcasts and borrowing from other people's audiences, if you're running ads, it all works. And chances are you probably want a multi-layered strategy for longevity in your business. The same thing is true with nurturing leads, with closing new clients, with delivering to your clients, with retaining. There's always underlying principles, and that is so important for you to know. Now, I kind of digress a little bit to give you some context into the content here, but if you understand the context behind this all, it's going to allow you to be able to better figure out how do I grow and how do I use these levers, right? And so the first major lever that I want to share with you, and maybe you're going to roll your eyes at this lever, I don't know. Maybe this is something that you're like, well, I know this already, but the chances are there is a blind spot that you're not seeing, and it starts with your mind. Like this, hands down, 99% of the time, I have been my own worst bottleneck in my business, in my life, period. We always are our own worst bottleneck, because we have a limited perspective. We believe something to be true, right? So like, let's kind of reverse engineer it. And I have a copywriting framework that I just use and I've taught to people, and I call it BTAR-F. And that stands for belief, thoughts, results, actions. Actions is the A, R is results, and then F is the feeling. And this is a lot of times how I write copy through this lens. But if you think in terms of how we are actually operating, let's imagine you have a month in business that you do amazing. Like you hit a record month. Maybe that's like, 50K in cash for you. And you're like, what? That's friggin' awesome. You probably are going to feel some type of way. That is an effect of something that happened to you, right? An amazing record month. You're feeling happy, confident, whatever it may be. Now imagine you have one of the worst months of your business. You're going to also feel a certain type of way. You might feel disappointed, bummed, frustrated, right? You're going to have that effect that happens because of a cause. But if we kind of backtrack here, the result typically is what gives people either the feeling of awesome, amazing, freaking great, or shit, what do I do? I'm second guessing myself. I'm frustrated, blah, right? And typically an action is what prompted that. Well, what causes us to take an action or not take an action? Maybe we did more outreach that month that we had a record month. Maybe our videos just hit harder or our content hit better. I don't know. Maybe we were on more podcasts. Maybe we were feeling ourselves, man. We were more confident. We were more convicted, right? And that comes back to our thoughts. What were our thoughts in that current season? What were we thinking over those weeks, those months, that quarter? What was our continual thought pattern? And most of the time you're going to find it comes to like your current beliefs. What do you believe to be true? And so when you can like actually see this, and how do you know what you believe subconsciously? Just look in the mirror, look in your bank balance, look at what's going on in your external reality, because it is all a chain. It all goes downstream and back upstream. And so if you think about what do you believe to be true about growing your business? What do you believe to be true about making money? What do you believe to be true about getting clients? What do you believe to be true about sales and marketing and whatever it may be? And you're going to find some blind spots if you do this effectively, because we all have limiting beliefs. I don't care how unsuccessful or successful you are. It doesn't matter where you are. There is something that is limiting you. There's a perspective, there's a belief that's limiting you from the next level. And that's why mentorship is so important, because you can get yourself into the right rooms. You can get yourself around different types of people that are achieving what you want to achieve. And it allows you to be able to borrow different beliefs, to gain different perspectives, so that you're able to then install them into your brain, try them on, and allow yourself to see that growth. So that is lever number one. It's looking at, where am I bottlenecking myself? What beliefs do I have to shift or maybe remove from my software, right? Because the brain is your hardware. Your mind is the software. So if you can remove something and be able to install something better, upgrade yourself to that next level, you're going to always find yourself able to grow. So that is lever number one. Lever number two, or some people call lever. I don't know. I think it's called lever. It's like tomato. No, it's not. It's freaking tomatoes. What's I saying tomato? It's tomato. But lever number two is going to be your systems. I think it was James Clear, perhaps, in Atomic Habits, if I'm remembering correctly. He says we rise and fall to the level of our systems. And so if you, maybe I misquoted that, I'm trying to remember, but that's what I believe to be true, at least. So there's my belief. But we rise and fall to the level of our systems, to our standards, to what we're willing to accept, to what we have in place. And so I see so many people that have faulty systems. They have a way of doing things, it's just not working for them. Maybe they are posting and praying that it works, right? Maybe they have that's their system, but it's not working for them. And so in any area of your business, your life in general, period, right? It's like, what systems do you have in place? Do you have a lead generation system that is allowing you to be able to drive traffic into some type of funnel, right? It's either yes or no. Maybe for you, that is friend requesting people on Facebook, and then it's sending them a welcome message, and then it's being able to give them helpful content. And then you see that is a system. I don't know how effective that would be for you, but it is a way of doing things that works. Maybe you're running ads. Maybe you're doing Instagram ads or Facebook ads and you're running ads to a DM conversation. That is a system. That's a way of generating a lead. Maybe you're doing podcast tours and you're getting onto 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 podcasts a month and you're driving people to a lead magnet. That is a system. But if you don't have a way of doing things, you're always going to be left up to that. I hope it works. And the same thing is true with like lead nurturing. Do you have a system for how you do your content? Are you, again, posting and praying, or do you have like a structured system like we teach called conversion content campaigns? Are you running campaigns to masterclasses or webinars or workshops or challenges and allowing yourself to have a way to convert? Do you have a methodology to how you're going about and teaching things? Or are you just kind of like, blindly just talking about stuff and you don't actually have a structured way to have a content cadence, right? These are all systems. And so seeing like where you are and what systems you need to put in place. And if we think about, there's 5 core functions of any business: lead generation, lead nurture, sales, delivery, and retention. These are the 5 systems. And if you're like, I'm not generating any leads or enough quality leads, you probably need a lead gen system. And if you're like, I'm generating leads, but like, and I'm getting people on calls, but there's a lot of unqualified people and there's a lot of people in my pipeline that are slipping through the cracks, you probably need a better lead nurture system. You see what I'm saying? And so you can always kind of spot the bottleneck by just looking at your business and looking at your KPIs. And if you don't look at your key performance indicators, then you're probably flying blind, and that's a whole nother conversation. So lever number 2 is, what systems can I install into my business? And on the opposing side, you can even look at habits, right? What habits do I need to let go of? And what habits do I need to install? Maybe I need to let go of being on my phone all the time and, checking social media and blah, 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 blah. That could be like something that you need to get rid of. Maybe a habit you need to install is freaking, I don't know, meditating for 20 minutes, to calm your mind, right? Only you know. But that's lever number 2, is systems and habits. What do we need to install? What habits do we need to get rid of and put in place? Lever number 3 is going to be our, wait for it, drum roll, skill sets. What skill sets do you need? Because here's the thing. You don't get what you want. You get who you are. You get who you are choosing to become in every single moment. And the only way we could become somebody better, a better version of ourselves, especially in terms of business, is by learning and developing and building better skills. And so let's imagine right now you're posting content and it's like going okay, like you're doing okay. But let's now imagine that you just get a little bit better at copywriting, or at, if you're doing videos, at speaking and communication and influencing and storytelling and in crafting hooks, in communicating call to actions. Imagine you start to stack these micro skills in terms of what I would consider copywriting. Your chances of you improving the amount of results that you get from that action are very high. Like if all of a sudden you're like, I know how to write better headlines, I know how to develop better hooks, I know how to tell my story better, I know how to shift beliefs and influence, I know how to deliver call to actions that get more people to raise their hand, like you're going to infinitely get more leads, more traction than if you didn't have those skills. The same thing is true in sales. Do I know how to walk people through, and do I know how to overcome objections? Do I know how to help people get around their doubts and their beliefs? Like the same thing is true in coaching clients, right? Do I know how to like truly shift somebody's way of thinking, their whole paradigm, so that they can implement better? The same thing is true with building community, right? You can look at this in any area, but it's like, what skills can I develop? And the most common, especially in what, we do, is going to be, again, copywriting. And it's really like, writing words and speaking words that influence and that convert. You got to know how to connect with people, how to captivate their attention, how to influence them, how to convert them. So it's like learning to write and speak in a way that allows you to get your message out there, to get your offer out there in a way that's compelling for people, right? And then there's going to be the skills of closing, especially if you can close something high ticket. If you can close something high ticket, you can close something low ticket. But if you learn how to close higher ticket deals, 3K, 5K, 10K, 20K, like it's going to set you up for success for life, because like you're never going to, you know, struggle to make money. You're never going to struggle to be able to serve people at a high level, because if you know how to sell high ticket, you also know how to deliver a premium product. You have to know how to deliver high ticket, especially if you're running your own business. And then of course, delivery and coaching. This is a skill that we all need to get better at. I don't, you might be like, I'm the best coach in the world. I mean, I call bullshit. Like I think that we can tell ourselves that, like we can like, hype ourselves up. I think we should have positive self-talk, going back to number one, our beliefs and how we talk to ourselves. But like, if you just kind of like live at that level and you're actually never trying to improve, like how you coach, how you deliver, how you create an amazing experience for your clients or your customers, then you're always going to remain kind of like, it's like the jock that peaked in high school, and then like, you see him in his 40s and he's like freaking still in his jersey, drinking beers, he has a big beer gut, right? You don't want to be that person. So you always want to make sure that you're like improving in every skill, even if you think you're quote unquote the best. And so we can look at these skills. And of course, there's leadership and delegation, right? Like that's a huge bottleneck for people, is not really knowing and learning how to better lead and delegate things. And we can go on and on about like, learning skills around tracking finances and KPIs. That's been a huge one for me, man. Whew. That's probably been one of my biggest bottlenecks, is having to figure that stuff out, but it all helps. So these are the three main levers, man. You're like figuring out where you are bottlenecking yourself in your mind and how you talk to yourself, your beliefs, your thoughts, your actions. Then there's going to be the systems and habits that you have in place. Where can you upgrade those? And then of course there's the skills. Where can you continue to build better skills in these different areas? That's going to help you produce better results. And so I hope you found this video helpful. Make sure to hit subscribe if you want more videos like this, and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. As always, remember, your message matters. Get out there and speak it. Be seen, be heard, and be impactful.